Johnson, and this is focused on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Bokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia, for Liberia, Liberia, for Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday, from Monday to Sunday, it's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday. Focus on.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another edition of Between the Headlines on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jah, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Between the Headlines, we're going to be looking at the indicted lawmakers who were released on bail in the Capitol Hill fire incident, or call it arson attack, as the police would say. We have had various reactions to this incident, and we're going to be talking about it tonight. What we are not going to be talking about, though, and you can ask me at the end of the show, is we are not going to be talking about the Mammy Doe and George Weah cow hauling and pulling. Let me welcome FOL political bulldog and host of the Hour of Politics, Mr. Anthony Sie. Mr. Sie, welcome to the show.
Dennis, thank you. It is good to be here. Interesting topic, national issue, by the way. We are here and bringing the Pan-African perspective on this issue. Let's do this.
Thank you. Let me also welcome Mr. Jimmy Eastman. Mr. Eastman, welcome to the show.
Yes, good. Many things happening. It's good to be here. Let's talk. Let's talk this thing.
Thank you. Let me welcome FOL political analyst Mr. Mohammed Sharif, also a product of Waplo Institute from Kilipo. Welcome, sir.
Dennis, thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Let me welcome the new progressive commentator and former ANC supporter, Mr. Clarence, Dr. Clarence R. Pearson. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dennis, for having me. Not former, current.
Current. Because I saw Mr. Cummings alone in the at the place there, so I was thinking, I mean, where are the ANC supporters? But anyway, on the phone, welcome.
You know, there are not too many now.
Ain't see that.
Let me welcome Lieutenant Alfred Johnson, that's the law enforcement officer who is joining us from the state of Maryland. Welcome, Alfred.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you. Good evening to everybody on the panel.
By the way, Alfred, I got a lot of positive feedback from the show yesterday. They said, wow, that police guy is good, man. I said, that's what we do. We got the best.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Today, we saw a lot of things happen in Monrovia. We saw first at the Temple of Justice. Our reporters were there this morning. And then we went to the South Beach prison. The lawmakers were released on bail. We saw former President Weah and other CDC people marching to the court. We also saw the ANC political leader, Alice Cummings. He appeared a little bit out of place to me when he went to President Weah. Was shaking and he was talking. It's like, is he looking for where to stand? But we're going to talk about that because we also saw that before that, the CBL, that's the Central Bank of Liberia, they issued a warning. They said, hey, before anybody give out bond, talk to us first. So that was like kind of, and then there is a letter going around and it has not been authenticated. I checked the LMP website and their social media platform. I did not see that release talking about we're going to use lethal or non-lethal force for anybody who try to demonstrate. So we cannot independently verify that. But that's all we're going to be talking about. I want for our opening just to go around the room and your impression of everything that went down today. What are your thoughts? Let me start with you, Mr. C.
Well, Dennis, sorry that I'm laughing. And I don't know why I feel this way, Dennis, that this is unseriousness, but it is also a reality. And there are many reasons we can all intellectualize as being responsible for that. But to put it bluntly, politically speaking, this is a political showmanship that actually illuminate the lack of focusing on what will move our country forward. And that's what I see happening here. And I also see that everything was calculated to happen. You have a unity party government that believe that these individuals, the lawmakers in particular, based on their investigations and finding and evidence they claim to have in their possession, believe strongly that they were responsible. Am I saying they are lying? I don't know. But given that in Liberia, everything is highly political, and knowing the history of these two political parties we're talking about, actors on both sides, it is hard to tell whether they are leading or taking these decisions based on the facts. Are they following the facts? Are they motivated by their, political standings? One may think so, but again, anything is possible. If they are actually taking these actions, they carry on these arrests and they took these individuals to prison based on the facts and the evidence, and that they are actually responsible, then I will have a reason to say, well, if you feel strongly about this, you have to stand firm. There should not be the political indictment. There should not be the political imprisonment. There should not be some sort of political I got you movement. It shouldn't be so. If you believe strongly that they are responsible for this, then I want you to do everything to make sure that they are held accountable. Dennis, let us not forget, this is the first branch of government. The building that we are talking about is the symbol of our democracy. And this is a building because of power. Some individuals, we've been told now, muster the courage to sell it ablaze, to prove a political point, and so on and so forth. So if the evidence, as they are trying to tell us, is that these individuals are responsible, I definitely want them to be held accountable. It should not be any of such things where say, well, the Front Party, we can't hold them accountable, we can't prosecute them, because when we do so, there will be some kind of political uprising, and so we'll give in. We already press them, put them behind bars for some time. At least we satisfy our political curiosity. I don't want that. So they better know what they're doing, and they better follow the facts and the evidence, and not on political motivation. To conclude,
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Let me go to Dr. Pearson.
Thank you, Dennis. I think there are a couple of things that stand out, and I want to say hi to my fellow panelists and the people of Liberia out there, and those who are also viewing from in the diaspora who are not even Liberians. There are a few takeaways from what I see happening in Liberia. For me, it starts from like Friday and up to today. with the issue of the arson, the alleged arson attack on the Capitol building. I would say I'm interested in wanting to see whoever responsible, if there's a person responsible, to be brought to account for that attack on the Capitol building. If it were another fault, also I'm more interested in understanding the actual cause of the fire so that we can address it more appropriately to avoid future situation like that. But when it comes to who account for what the government feels are people responsible for arson attack on the country, especially on that Capitol building, I, for one, have a very strong doubt about the entire process, especially how the process started off from the beginning. The leaning of the Liberian National Police and the Joint Security towards the majority black within the legislative impasse of the House of Representatives, the supporting of those lawmakers who were in the majority black and even defend them behind doors, knowing that they were also in full charge of the Capitol building the morning before the fire, especially given the incidents that happened with the riot before, not riot, but kind of a demonstration that went out of hand with the police heavy-handedness the day before the fire, and how the police department said they were in full charge of what was happening at the Capitol building. And I would have been more interested in wanting to know that the investigation begins within, that the police can account for officers who had custody of the property, and what happened. Was there a dereliction of duty? Who was held accountable? And then we'll move on to the outsiders. I would have been interested in knowing does our fire service rather have the capacity to evaluate fire, to determine what caused the fire, because we have hundreds and hundreds of fires taking place in Liberia, and we have not had a fire department with the capacity to tell us what's going on with those homes and what causing those fires, and with proper investigation to show some track record of expertise, and then to see that the police preempted the fire department reporting, and then that they didn't form the basis of their own involvement. It questions the process even more, and then leaving the regime favor lawmakers out of the entire process, again raises eyebrow. Going to jail on Friday evening was a charade. I think it was a juvenile use of our security sector and our Liberian National Police powers and abuse of power. We did that under Samuel Doe, we did that under Charles Taylor, we did that under Madam Salif. We've always misused the police. There are even people who are not even in the police today. They get up in the morning and say, I got contacts, I'll make you sleep in jail tonight. And then we thought the issue tomorrow. And they make you sleep in jail, and there are people who are in jail because somebody feel they got contact. So these are the things people do in Liberia. And so we don't trust the process, but we wait to see that the process go through. Now that they are in court, the only thing we can do is to see the process through. Dennis.
Mr. Sherry, let me ask you, and we're going to separate the process from really what taking place, because we know our LMP, I would say, they have not really been consistently professional. But do you believe this was an arson attack? Knowing everything we know now, do you believe that this was people actually set this fire? We're going to come to who, but do you believe that?
Dennis, look, nobody has to believe me when I say it. Just look at the evidence. There is no evidence. There's no evidence to point to arson one way or the other. The government has not adduced any concrete evidence to prove that this was some sort of arson. What you saw the day after is the president indicting certain so-called hooligans and malcontents. He already knew the perpetrators of that diabolic act. So that begs the question, Mr. President. So who are those? So now we know what the president was trying to do. We know that he's trying to incarcerate his opponents. So these guys now are political prisoners. So for a long time, Liberia has not had political prisoners. We have to go back perhaps to the military junta and to the period right after the Civil War. So now we're going back to the dark days. So Dennis, to directly answer your question, we don't know. You don't know. I don't know.
Right.
So I have my doubts that this was
right. So,
arson.
but let's look at there's been fire all over the country, or especially the Monrovia area. And for what we saw, the level of damage done, do you believe it could be an arson, or it could be just electrical short, some accident, some candle or mosquito cause somewhere? What really do you believe happened, Mr. Sherry? I know you're a smart guy. I've been knowing you for the past 30 years, and you have some inkling.
Yes,
what is
my inkling politically is that this government set this thing in motion to indict the opposition.
So you believe somebody set the fire?
I believe that this is the act of the government, and me politically speaking. We've seen diabolical things from regimes before. Regimes,
like you said, the fire so as to frame the other side. Is that
absolutely. I mean,
I want to hear from Jimmy. Jimmy, do you think this people actually set the fire? We don't have to mention who did it, but do you believe this fire was a deliberate arson attack?
Yes, I do, and for a couple of reasons, I do. First of all, the intensity of the fire, the way it was raging, it was as if someone had, made sure that it burned. It got burned well burned, and then there was a first attempt using the electrical system, and so I do believe without a doubt that there was some actions and that went on to torch that building. But what I want to say though, with all the police presence that was in that building that day, it's surprising that something like that could have gone on right under their nose. And to the extent that it went to a blazing inferno while they were right there. I mean, couldn't they react? Didn't they smell smoke? Didn't they see fire? That it got so high? And that's what corroborates my reason for believing that this fire was so well, so intense, and that they didn't have much time to react. Because again, the fire service, the police were right on the scene when this thing broke out, but they couldn't react in time, even though fire service was not too far away. But apparently they didn't have much time to act. It was already well ablaze before they took notice.
Thank you. Lieutenant Johnson, I know today when you were watching TV and seeing all that's going on, your law enforcement eyes were wide open. What did you see?
Well, there were several things that caught my attention today. This morning I was on Prime FM and later on OK FM. And where I was having conversations on both stations, I learned that the IG was on EFBC, and he made a statement as it relates to one of the defendants, the female defendant, Priscilla Cooper, I believe. They said he made a statement that the reason why they didn't take her to jail, the reason why they released her into the custody of her lawyers was because there was not a space for a female prisoner. And this lady happens to be a sympathizer of the Unity Party. So the reason why that statement it became of interest to me is because there is this, from the beginning, this case has been deemed a political case, a case that has serious political honor too. So as a body that wants to be taken seriously, as a professional body that wants to be taken seriously and seen in an objective manner, it is very important that LMP engages the process with that level of professionalism that we all expect from them. By allowing this lady to go home, let's remember now, according to reports, Kofa and these lawmakers were called in to LMP's headquarters around 9 o'clock in the morning. They were there. They did not leave from there at all, period. But they did not get engaged in terms of arrest until around 5, 6 o'clock, when the courts were closed. So if you knew that these people were already there, there is no way LMP can tell me that it was around 4 or 5 o'clock that they got the smoking gun that made them to arrest these people. So based on my experience as a law enforcement professional and a former detective, it is clear to me that if you're bringing somebody in under the it's not wrong to bring people under the pretense that you just want to talk to them. We do that a lot. We don't owe you the responsibility to be truthful to you. We got to trick you because there are reasons why we do that. So they're bringing these people under the pretense that they are still person of interest. It's not wrong. That's a law enforcement strategy. But once they bring it in there is no way LMP can it's difficult for me to believe that LMP suddenly got the information they needed at around 4 or 5 o'clock. They had to have something strong enough to say, yeah, we are going to take these people to jail today. So with that knowledge, they should have prepared. Here is what we do on the side. I already gave an example. If we having a riot situation and we anticipate something for a prisoner, you level of prisoner, we will inform the Department of Corrections ahead of time. Hey, gentlemen, we are having this riot is going on, and we anticipate we will have a mass arrest situation. So can you guys create a space at the Department of Corrections for these mass arrest people to be accommodated? And then the Department of Corrections will create the space. They will make adjustment. So LMP had a responsibility whether these guys were going to be locked up at the LMP headquarters or at South Beach. LMP had the ability to move prisoners around to accommodate these people. Now you left this lady out. It enhances the argument that this is a political case. So that was wrong on the part of the Liberian National Police. Furthermore, when it came to the issue of the overall case and the release of these guys today, the overall case, when I listened to snippets of the interview from Chief Coleman on EFBC, I mean, I don't know what they have. I do not know what Liberian National Police has. And when the discovery process comes about, we will start having an idea when the trial starts to go on, we'll start having an idea of what evidence LMP has. But I have said from the press conference the other day, that was the press conference at which it was announced that Fonati Kofa and other people were being arrested for their involvement in the fire incident. There was not much new from December or from January when the other case when the Edricks and all the guys were arrested. There's nothing new except LMP talking about geospatial, geofence, and different things. They talk about all these things, but the evidence they have, it's almost like everything is the same. More likely than not, they are relying on testimony from individuals. Well, these individual testimonies have to be backed by other corroborated testimony because this individual testimony can be seen as something that are agenda-driven. People can be agenda-driven. Somebody wants to strike a deal with the prosecutor to get less jail time, so they will testify. So in order for somebody says Dennis Giles was in his house, it's not going to be just based on that person's word. You have to have other evidence that can place Dennis Giles in the house. You cannot just say Alfred Johnson said Dennis Giles in the house, so Alfred Johnson's words is gold. No, you have to have corroborating evidence. LMP, I'm hoping that they have that, but if they sound like they have more witness, quote unquote, witness testimony than they have physical connecting evidence, and that's the problem. If you want to prosecute these people, these are serious charges: conspiracy to commit murder, this or arson. In order to charge somebody with arson, you have to have the person has to be the present. From what I gather, the person has to be present at the scene in order for you to establish that they were involved in the arson. If you cannot establish that, that's a problem. How do you put Kofa on the scene? How do you put Jason Sibo on the scene? These are things that you have to work out. Even the case that were initially charged, you cannot say the case were on the scene because the case were on the scene because they worked there. Their presence on that area can be explained. So you have to have more to connect them to the fire incident. You have to establish all these different motives. You have to have evidence to say that they actually caused the fire and not just made it because they were there so they caused the fire. That's the problem.
Thank you. And Lieutenant Johnson, let's put the the unprofessionalism or whatever mistakes from the LMP, on the side, right? Even though you have to establish evidence, but let's say if we are not equipped to establish any evidence, does that exonerate, Kofa and the rest in the code of public opinions? So
well, you see,
you can actually commit a crime and you leave no trace, and so you are not caught.
So you see, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dennis. My apologies.
Go ahead. I know you have something to.
You see, in this situation, the code of public opinion does not matter because it's not what you know; it's what you can prove. Everybody said OJ did it. Everybody said OJ something did it, but OJ something was found not guilty. Everybody, when it comes to the Councilor Scott situation at our house, everybody said there was no intruder. But the Supreme, the initial charge, they were found guilty. The Supreme Court overturned the conviction. So it is not what you know, it's what you can prove. And because of that, the court of public opinion really doesn't matter in terms of this, because the issue will be argued in the court of law. That's where the situation will be argued. So that's why it is important that instead of trying to win the public battle, you instead of trying to win the perception battle, which may be good, you have to win in the court of law. We have so many situations where people feel the government has a strong case only to formulate in the court of law, only to formulate when it comes to the evidentiary process, because it requires some sort of evidence for these things to happen. If you cannot produce evidence, you're not going to argue on sentiments. You got to argue on facts. And the charges, when you look at these charges, these are serious charges. The elements have to be met. All these charges have elements that have to be met. From an investigative perspective and a law enforcement perspective, in order to establish that the elements are met, you have to have some thorough investigation that connects people, not just in terms of witness testimony, but in terms of physical evidence, in terms of geographical evidence, and all these things have to come together. If you cannot produce these things, it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to have these people found guilty.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Pearson, right? Dr. Pearson, let's assume the evidence. I mean, we do not expect forensic evidence to convict, Kofa and the rest. But if we have things that are like telephone conversations or even video, which on the legal side you have to actually establish it. But if we can hear Kofa or any of these people, let's say they are plotting. They say, Dixon Sibo was involved in paying people to do it. This other person was involved in mobilizing Abu Kamara, all these people. If we can get text messages and voice recording, and even if possible, video recording, right? And I don't want to ask a legal question to say, well, this evidence have to do this, you have to establish circumstantial and all that kind of stuff. But if people actually believe in that, the voice is Kofa's voice, so he did it, right? Do you think that's going to sway public opinion against them and eventually get them convicted?
So then it's important that I mention that I'm not a lawyer, right? But these things can be discussed from just a logical perspective and from experience, right? So say for instance, Charles Taylor was not in Sierra Leone shooting the gun, cutting people's limbs off, and raping women in physical person, but he was convicted on aiding and abetting, right? People can be convicted on the fact that they consider them to be they call it criminal facilitation, or they can call it you are guilty by association with the crime. So there can be other reasons and other means by which they can align these guys with the crime. But it's my concern. My concern is more of the procedural errors that usually come to hurt us. Our Liberia National Police, and when our prosecutors or the Solicitor General goes to prosecute cases in Liberia, we make so many errors. Now, first of all, one of the things that I've seen happen so many times in court is to show incompetence on the part of the police officers who are building the case for evidence. So, say for instance, if we went to court and then Kofa's lawyers are saying, gentlemen, there are reasons for us to argue that the crime scene was not properly protected. And they got videos to show journalists walking all through the building after the fire incidents. And then the expert witness that they want to reference say, we saw 8 empty containers, 1 gallon each in 8 strategic locations to entrances. And, and it helped to make the case for the fire that was an arson. But then you had journalists all in the place. You had the crime scene very exposed. Anyone who are walking there, like somebody is suggesting, from the majority black who wants to frame the situation, and they plan their stuff there. First of all, you got police on charge who did not even see 8 empty 1 gallon container of gasoline placed in various areas in the building, and gasoline smells. And not only that, when you are securing the property, someone have access to the property like key. If the person entering the building, you should be able to identify exactly who entered that building because you are on guard that night. You see those who enter and coming out. There's no way I've heard RG Coleman say that there was a break-in to the Capitol building. If any of you heard that, let me know. I've never heard that there was a break-in.
People, they have the work there. So.
Yeah, and then so yes, from the question I say yes. No, nothing for me. Nothing is out of reach with this current government who does not have any interest in constitutional governance and the rule of law. Nothing is out of reach for me when President Barack can tell us in the face of the Supreme Court, I will work with the majority and lead the constitutional body sitting one side. So nothing is out of reach of President Barack. The only thing I can hope for is that public opinion will play a part in showing that we have justice, and the courts will be very neutral and very impartial in adjudicating this case.
Thank you. Mr. Sia, let me come to you, same question, because if what really is good, our distrust in government for a long time, because we have seen government, I'm old enough to remember the Great D. Allison case, where they say, well, Great D. Allison did not actually cut the throat of Melvin Pine. But Great D. Allison sent somebody to do it so that he will use the blood to become president, right? So there was all the connection. And so anytime government come up with something, we are suspicious that government is not telling the truth. Could that be a factor in this case as well? But if the government can show us, even like I said, telephone messages, text messages, telephone conversation, cash being paid, because they said Dixon Sibo was the one paying the cash. Abu Kamara was the one who was kind of working for Kofa to make sure that, like, Chief, I want to get this done, right? And mobilizing the resources to do this, getting the human beings to do it, right? If all these come up and it is proven that that's Kofa voice, yes, that's going to affect the case, right? And what do you think going to happen if people really start to hear and say, oh, so government is really saying the truth? Do you think that's going to sway the case against the lawmakers?
Dennis, the answer is no.
Okay.
And the reason is, in our country, Liberia is highly political. When you believe in a political party, you believe in anything they say. Even if you don't believe in it, you subscribe to it. And that is very sad. Look, the issue here is that the law enforcement officer here said that it is not what you believe, is what you can prove. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, these things will go in the court. It passed the public opinion aspect of it. But for us who are non-lawyers, we will still look at these, facts, and there where your questions is coming from. That will answer no, because the thing is being political. If you look at the trend of the event, from the time Kofa decided to run to be speaker and Kun decided to be speaker, there was a divide. Unity Party, the president in particular, had preferred Richard Kun. They didn't get it. And then we start hearing one plan after the other to bring, they call it a regime speaker. They've been very consistent with that. So if you look at it, there has been this group, which is the Unity Party side, that felt that it needed to produce a speaker at all costs. Mm-hmm. This is the side that has demonstrated political desperation for this position of speakership. And so one would think they will be the one to go extra mile to do anything. On the other side, Kofa felt that in order for him to maintain his speakership, he needed to be conciliatory. So he built a friendship with President Bouaka, as far as going to room, as far as being in his house. Even when that call came from Abu Kamara, he said, well, where are you? He said, I'm at the president place. He said, what president? He said, well, the president, not former president. We said, what are you doing there? So you see, this man felt that, look, I needed to build a relationship to the party in power so as to be able to maintain my speakership, whereas the Unity Party felt that, no, we can't have this guy to be a speaker. This is our government. And so they have demonstrated, desperation for this position. So for me, as a logical person, I would think that they would do just about anything. And to prove it, The president told the men to run, and while he was there, there was a coup. That coup failed. The men came back, and then before then, we start hearing dishing money to lawmakers for them to vote against him, and so on and so forth. So Dr. Pearson said, look, the police had taken seize of the building. They were in charge. They were providing security. How come this place was set on fire? Now, let's look at the statement that came from Unity Party. There's another political lie to it. Dennis, did you read the statement from the Unity Party after the indictment came down? This is what they said. The Unity Party commends the Liberia National Police, LNP, for the professional and impartial investigation and subsequent indictment of individuals who allegedly conspired to carry out the Capitol building arson attack. This was the most violent and criminal assault on our constitutional democracy since the end of the Civil War. Now, the win for this is the important part here. They say, we particularly ask our UP representative of District Number 5, Monserrato County, Honorable Priscilla A. Cooper, who has also been indicted, to fully cooperate with the relevant authority. And then what happened? They said, well, there's no female cell, so we're taking her out. So at the end of the day, what happened? The opposition members are the only one who were left to be placed behind bars. So you see the political motivation in all this thing, all this why? So somebody will say, well, if anybody set a place on fire, it will be the group that has shown desperation politically to get the seat at all costs. Somebody can make that argument.
Dennis,
And so where you are leaning is this fire really might have been set by somebody. You believe that?
Yeah, definitely.
And two things can be right at the same time. The police can be incompetent. Unity Party can be desperate, and still the fire is set by the people that they got. Those things can be true at the same time.
And then I would say, yes, that is very possible. And that is very possible. But again, we will have to follow the facts. And I emphasized earlier in my previous statement that, look, if it is true, based on the evidence and the police believe to be the actual evidence in incriminating these individuals as being the dual, proof to be the reality, they must be accountable. And the Unity Party should not chicken out on prosecuting these individuals for committing these crimes. But they must be sure that that is what the evidence is telling them. Anything short of that, like I narrated the political circumstances, then this is pure politics, and that will be unfair.
Thank you.
Dennis, let me come in real quick if you don't mind.
Sure.
Yeah, speaking of the evidence, let's get one thing straight here. LNP, I don't think LNP sat for the last 6, 7, 8 months without doing some work. I think they did the best work they felt they could do, and they feel they have a strong case. It is not unusual for you to have that feeling that you have a strong case. Based on what they have, they can say we have it. You have to know this, that most of the cases in Liberia, I shouldn't say most, but a good portion of the cases in Liberia can be won based on strong circumstantial evidence. The entire Gloria Scott case was won from the initial trial based on circumstantial evidence, strong circumstantial evidence. The argument about being an intruder could not be easy to prove. The only reason the case was overturned was because a key point of the defense argument was there was a male intruder, and then this pathologist, whoever it is, discovered a male DNA on the victim and discarded it. Even though that male DNA could have been explained, because so many men came in contact with the girl's body, from the pastor to the medical guys and everything, that could have been explained. But the fact that you discarded that evidence, there's no way you can test it. And it's a key piece of evidence, is enough to overturn a verdict. But let's understand the circumstantial evidence. Why am I saying this? When it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's more likely a duck. So if you have too many circumstantial evidence coming together to be able to, too many circumstantial evidence coming together to show that Kofa is at a point somewhere, that would tell us that, hey, there's something going on here. There is a dead there. If you have Kofa gallery at a 5-person place, witnesses saying that his cell phone record is there, so many things put him in that one area, that shows as strong circumstantial evidence. But we have to also understand that Kofa is a sitting lawyer. Every evidence the government has will be scrutinized. everything they bring people they will be scrutinized. And as a matter of fact, I won't be surprised they call Gregory Como, they call all these people on the stand to testify. Because LMP is supposed to be manning the legislature. How did that fire get into the legislature? There are so many things that will happen. But I'm not going to dismiss the government like broad claim that they have a case. They may have a strong case based on what they gather. However, we will see whether it will stand the scrutiny of the judicial process.
Thank you. Mohammed and Jimmy. I've asked a lot of questions. And I know you have things going on in your mind. Strong circumstantial evidence can convict the 5. Are we, Mohammed, and I want to get this clear, right? Because there's a lot of politics going on both sides. But as a people, are we really interested in getting to the bottom of this? Because this is horrible. This is heinous to burn, for somebody to burn, even if it is true negligence, for the Capitol building to be burned. Do you see, are we enraged by this act? Or are we so much focused on the politics of UP versus CDC?
It's the politics, Dennis. The people are not. Let's start with the president. He doesn't want to get to the bottom of this. He wants to collect a few political prisoners, lock them up. That's what this is. Dennis, during the Civil War, we lost, people, some estimates say hundreds of thousands of people, although I think their estimate is a little lower than that. Regardless, it doesn't matter. Who cares now? Who's asking questions now besides some of us who are still enraged by the lack of justice? What was worse, killing my people or burning a building, an institution that's the bastion of corruption, a building that has stood for suppression, a building that doesn't mean a lot to many Liberians anyway? So the president does, if you like, don't want to get to the bottom of this. What the president and the regime is interested in, Anthony is absolutely correct. What the regime is interested in is making sure that they're going to teach some political lessons to their adversaries. Kofa has been cooperative with the president. Anthony said it right, but that didn't satisfy him. He wants to have not just the executive, but the control of the legislature, control of the judiciary, control of the elections commission, control of the Central Bank of Liberia, control of everything, so that when you control all of these, institutions of government, you can then use these institutions in 2029 to steal the election away, to continue to stay in power. This is what all this is about. Let's not get this twisted. I hear, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence, but on the other side also, was there any forensic evidence collected on the day of or on the day after? Maybe people were going there and it was business as usual. Where was the police? Why is Gregory Coleman not a person of interest? Why is Richard Cohn not a person of interest? Why are these guys not people of interest? And you have the unity partisan among the group who's been extricated now for no reason other than showing favors, because we know where this is leading. You know where else this is leading to? I would be mighty surprised if George Weah is also not arrested at some point. So this is a system now where the regime of the Unity Party, we've never seen this before, but they're clamping down. They're going to start a mass clamp down on the opposition. All of this in the lead up to the 2029 election. This is basically what this is. These people don't care about this building. They don't care about the building. If they care about the Capitol, they would have done their job. Gregory Coleman is out here doing the president's bidding. He is the most incompetent. He is the most corrupt police director in recent times. A brutal police director at the helm of a regime that's intent of staying in power for decades and decades to come. So this is what we're bracing ourselves for.
Mr. Sharif, so and I heard you when you said, the war is more important than burning the Capitol. Are you actually concerned that the Capitol in flame, or Or do you want to be like them, focusing on the politics? Because
I am concerned. I am concerned.
Somebody burned the Capitol building, if I can say that.
Dennis, what does it mean to you? Does it mean anything to you? Does it mean anything to me that a building, including the police, the institution of the police HQ, the executive mansion, all these institutions, historically speaking, that have been used to suppress our people. They have been.
Are you saying we should burn them and get rid of them?
These institutions are worthless institutions, as far as I know. I'm not saying burn them down, but I'm saying, what does it matter? Why do I care? Why do I care that an institution that's used as the bastion of corruption? These people, Dennis, what did they do? They bought lawmakers. They bought off individuals. This is how this thing started. Anthony just told you, when the president took his Christian brother, hello, Christian brothers, when he took his Christian brother to Rome, as he's shaking the hand of the Pope, they're stabbing him in the back. Back home, meanwhile, the president, with the connivance, the contrition of his people, are stabbing this man in the back. And this is how we arrive here. And they're gathering in one room where they're distributing piles of money, millions of dollars at these guys' disposal, where they're buying off votes. In any good, decent society, these guys should be investigated as well. People should be in jail. How many of them are in jail? They've actually been rewarded now. Richard Cohn now is the speaker. You know what? They are very hurt because their pride was damaged. Speaker Kofa stood his grounds, and these guys, and he forced them. He took the regime. He put the regime on trial. He forced them to have election for the speakership. He forced them not to abuse the Constitution. He forced them to abide by the rule of law. And they tried to give him a fake award. And he said, no, I don't want this award. So the president's pride is damaged. So the president then goes after him. So this is a game now, if you like. The 85-year-old, I don't care how old he is. I don't know how old he even is now. What he's doing is going after Kofa, and he's going to continue to go down this route until he gets to the leader of the CDC. Believe me when I say it.
And Dennis, quickly, and I'm not saying that this is actually the case, right?
Right. But is what Muhammad saying, does it scare you that really he doesn't care if the mansion burned? Because Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said the same thing. Let's burn down the mansion.
I heard
now
him.
He's implying that this thing can burn. Who cares?
I understand his point, Dennis, because he was so eloquent on that. He said, look, the institutions are there for the name's sake. Worse, they are suppressing our people. They were there to create conditions.
So let's burn them down.
No, he didn't say that. He said, what good are these institutions when they are used to suppress our people, when they are used to subject our people to poverty? So his focus is not whether they are burned down or not. He wants to see these institutions standing for the people and doing for the people as they were established to do, and they are not doing those things. So that is not his focus. And he said, I'm not saying we should burn them down.
And what do we do?
Answer if you like. Dennis, I'm right. So let me answer.
I want Jimmy to come in now.
Okay,
there's a piece I wanted to provide, and then you switch.
Okay, go ahead.
One piece is that, look, this is an important piece now. All right. So now Richard Cohn, who is the speaker now, said that he was legitimately elected and he was the constitutional speaker because all the rules were followed, the constitutional was followed, and he was speaker. And he challenged the judicial branch of government. And we knew all along that while he was saying this, they were negotiating with Kofa to resign. Another desperation to get the seat at all costs. And what happened at last? Kofa forced them, all right, to somehow accept the Supreme Court ruling. And now he resigned. And now Rachel Cohn, who said that he was elected constitutionally became a candidate, thereby telling us that I was lying to you all along. And the president stood with him and he became a candidate and won. So they have demonstrated, enormous political desperation. So why would anybody not want to believe they set this thing on fire because they wanted to pin this side ugly so that they would get what they wanted in the first place. And now that they got it, they want to make sure that these people are blamed at the end of the day.
It's so good, Mr. Eastman. It's so good, Mr. Eastman. It's so patient. Can I get 30 seconds on what Mohammed said?
He's not patient. Please hold your thoughts a bit. I want to bring in Mr. Eastman.
Eastman, give me 30 seconds, man. Yeah, just 30 seconds. Look, listen, Dennis. You know, I see you beating on Mohammed, but I want you to do me a favor. Send our FOL journalists, particularly to go and look at the condition of the Capitol building. I was there quite recently before even the fire incident. That whole section that got burned up there, the dome, I had to call it, whatever they call it.
Rotunda.
That thing was a death trap. That thing is rotten, it's destroyed. It was just hanging there. Besides that, the officers that you see them when they win power, they go to get offices. You see them fighting over offices. All of the offices are in dilapidated conditions at the time. The
that is actually besides the point.
Abandoned. I said this to say, Dennis, in my 30 seconds. They are not thinking different from what Mohammed is saying. They care less about that property.
So they burn it.
They are no. I'm looking at the sentiments that the parallel Mohammed is giving is that the value they seem to attach to it because of the fire it's a facade. Mm-hmm. It's a lie. It's pretendence. It's hypocrisy. Yes. They will not be carrying $45,000 car every year, each of them for 103 of them, and the return that is rotting is a death trap. And the offices are leaking in broad daylight. Even in the return, the lobby of that Capitol building, when you enter that lobby, when you're reading Dennis, that whole place is flooded. You cannot even stand everywhere, I guess.
Right. The toilet is a mess. It's a mess.
So I don't see what
the executive mansion, the ground of the executive mansion.
I want to bring in Jimmy. Jimmy, I don't think you can.
Let me come in, gentlemen. I just want to let you know when.
Are you not troubled, Jimmy, by this line of thinking that hey, this is worthless. It is not producing the result we wanted to produce. So whether it burnt or not, we don't care. That's the sense I'm getting.
There's been a lot of that action. There's been a lot of that attitude over the years. Okay. I want to tell you guys something. That building was immaculate when it was built initially. When it was initially renovated, you could eat off the ground. That's how clean that place was back in the day. But one thing we know, that the timing of this fire coincides with the power struggle that was going on in the legislature. So that raises suspicion about political motives behind this whole act.
On both sides.
On both sides.
Okay.
So again, we also observed there's a lot of security. It was intense security at the building at the time, even more than usual because of this internal wrangling that was going on. So with all that intense security, there had to have been some internal collaboration for the Capitol to be set on fire like that, right? So what is crucial at this point, that the evidence that they're going to give has to be credible and not merely based on public frustration or political suspicion. Yeah. They have to come with material evidence, conclusive, to say that these people actually did it. And that is where we are at this point. Are we going to see justice, law, or the rule of law prevailing, or are we going to see political manipulation to bring somebody down guilty? I think that is what's more crucial than anything else at this point, that we can come out with transparency and all parties are given the benefit of the doubt, and we can move forward from there. But if there's any cloud covering or suspicious, and it looks like witch hunting or intimidation, or we find out that people were tortured, as been claimed, it's going to leave a stain on our politics for many years to come. So I think what we're supposed to be doing now, aiming for a transparent trial that will bring about material evidence so that we all can convince whether or not somebody's guilty. I think that's the most important part right here.
And I agree, because we've seen far too long things happening. Remember the Cattle Camp massacre? It took years before it was established that NPFL did it, because they did it in a way that it framed the AFL. In fact, they said that night they were speaking Crown. So so it's possible somebody will do something, or even people will take advantage of the chaos, and some evil people just come. They say that what witchcraft can do, you don't even have to complain to witchcraft. When they see me and Clarence fighting, the witchcraft will just come in and eat one of Clarence's babies, and because everybody will blame it on me, right? So these things happen. In the Bakedu massacre, when the guys from NPFL went there, I mean, they were speaking Mandingo, right, to make them look like the locals. So all kinds of things can happen.
Bong Mines as well. Bong Mines massacre, they did the same thing.
Right. So can we give the government now, benefit of the doubt, Jimmy? I want you to end there, because it appears that most of you on the panel don't want to give the government the benefit of the doubt because of the things that precede. Are we willing to do that?
Yes, I would say the government has put together their case, and we need an independent investigation after this case has
Mr.
been.
C, can I get a commitment from you that you want to give the government the benefit of the doubt?
Dennis, of course, yeah, I did give the benefit a bit of the doubt. All right. When I said to you, if their evidence as gathered remain factual, then they should prosecute these people. It shouldn't be any of such.
I want to hear what Mohammed says to that as well.
I said that.
Okay, Mohammed, can you give the government the benefit of the doubt, or this issue of burning is so trivial, or the building is so worthless that really you don't care to get to the bottom of who did this who committed this heinous crime?
The government is not giving itself any room to allow us to logically extricate themselves. The government has made this such a one-sided campaign against the opposition that leaves me, a logical thinker, to believe that this cannot be anything other than a witch hunt.
Thank you.
Tonight we have political prisoners who will be tortured at some point, who were earlier denied bail. When was the last time? So these guys are political prisoners. So no, I'm not going to do both sidism here. Well, the government, we got to give them a benefit. I'm not doing that. I'm not about to.
Mr. Pearson, Dr. Pearson, can you do that?
No, then it's because there are historical references.
I'm getting comments here that say, "Hey, your panel already convict the government, so you can."
Then there are
give me some wiggle room here.
There are historical records where people have lost good number of years of their lives on faulty evidence producing court or adducing court that later on got overturned, and then the prosecutor had to say, "I'm sorry."
And there are other instances where actual criminals were let go.
Agreed. But the thing here is that
I want to mention that so that I can build that trust.
Yeah, Dennis, like Mohammed said, that benefit of the doubt must be earned. Because the thing is that Kofa can lose 15 years in jail and be told, "Oh, we made a mistake." He will never gain those 15 years back.
Correct.
But IG Gregory Coleman can get a boost in his reputation, career boost in his title that he was a good IG, that nobody was above the law and must have gotten it wrong for 15 years, and he will not pay a dime.
Thank
He
you,
will not pay
Mr.
a
Sia.
dime.
Mr. Sia, let me
get
come
it
to
right.
you here.
Yeah.
Because we are in a political system that people are just rotten through and through all over. And I give you an example because the COFA we're talking about is not a cent. When Bill Mountain and all these concessionals were very bad to the Liberian government and people, it was COFA representing them against the people of Liberia, right? COFA talked about the room in the hotel room where they went and divvied up the budget and put it in their pockets, right? When the war crime court business came and COFA was in the good graces of President Bwakai, I mean, that place, the whole entire war crime court office went to the COFA law firm. And we know all this. I'll give you another example. When Unity Party was in, when CDC was in power and Gloria Musu was being prosecuted that way, I mean, Unity Party saw it was all wrong. Remember when my own dear comrade Wisse went to the South Beach to visit Gloria Musu's cat, right? Because it was bad, this pre-trial detention, all these things were so bad. Today, we saw the CDC that was doing that prosecution. Now, they are the one leading going there. So we see that these people are not, and I'll give you another example. Remember Dixon Sibo, there was this thing, a young girl in his district by the name of Bevina William Brooks.
Yeah.
Right. When he was in and got this girl in jail, and the same strategy he did to get that happened on Friday. That's what Dixon Sibo did to this young woman, because she was, according to the young woman, she was being inappropriate. And she said it, said, this is what Dixon Sibo is doing to me. And he got upset that this little girl was trying to expose a lawmaker being inappropriate with her. So he made sure, the girl said, I'm quoting her, that she slept in jail that night using his power. Now what goes around comes around. So we are not, it is not an either or situation where, you know, when one side is wrong, the other side has to be right, or vice versa. Do you see a dilemma here that Liberian people are not, I mean, why can't we find both of them guilty? We have to pick winner and loser in this case.
Because then there's the reason might be one side is wrong and the other side is right when it comes to this case in particular.
Historically, they
when
have
you look
right.
at it historically and politically, historically, yeah, to be precise, Unity Party and CDC for a little over 18 years now, they've both been run and been playing political football with our people, which is extremely sad. I'm glad that you give a little bit of history of CDC, what they did. What Dixon Sibo did was wrong. All right. He did this to the young man. You remember we talked to the young lady. We wanted to interview her. But because the very Dixon Sibo threatened her somehow, she felt intimidated. She was not prepared to talk anymore. Dixon Sibo was guilty and remained guilty of what he did to that young lady. This is what they do. All right. When they are not in power, they see all the wrong. For example, look at young comrade Christopher Susulu on a CDC watch, who was brutalized and nearly got killed. CDC did absolutely nothing to an apologist that did that to that young man, brought there the cameras. We have the video in our possession today. Unity Party that were crying, wow, wow, wow. They are yet to pick up the case of Christopher Water Susulu. It's not that he did not reach out to them seeking justice. He did. They turned him down. And I can say from the level of the executive mansion, they turned the young man down. This is somebody I talk to every day. All right. So these are individuals who all they care about is about what benefits their political side. It is not about justice. It is not about standing for our people. It is not about fighting for improving the material conditions of our people. So then, honestly, these people, they are all guilty of this political game. It's shameful that they continue to do so. When it comes to justice, now they can't be trusted because they are always selective. Not only politically, but actual justice, they're always selective, and that is bad. So that's why I can't trust them. And that's where Comrade Mohammed has, a very strong opinion here that, look, I can't give them any benefit of the doubt because look at how they conducted themselves over the time. How can a political party, this is a matter of justice, all right? Then you release a press statement commending the Liberian National Police. How can you do that as a political institution? Can you not let the police do their work? But they have to commend them. One case in point is the Justice Minister, who, when you have to misinterpret the ruling of the Supreme Court, that was a big lie. And today, what he said has come to be the case, and that's why the Liberian National Police, politically speaking, they are following. So whether or not they're following the facts is hard to actually tell they're following the facts, because everything is overwhelmed by politics, and that is sad.
Very sad indeed. Clarence, let's start with what went down today. We saw the CDC marching. We've seen marches, and what we've seen over the years, I know because of the you're an ANC guy, but you are being consistently leaning CDC. Let me say that, and you can tell me that's not the case. But what we saw today, the CDC marching as if they are the ones standing for justice now, when just yesterday they were doing the same thing. I mean, if you were in Monrovia, could you join the CDC in that march?
Well, first of all, let me thank my stand-up bearer and political leader, Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings, for being a part of that, standing up for the right thing and for justice, and not just for
why we didn't see any ANC member with him.
Not just for those. Dennis, you don't know that for a fact. We got the facts. If you want us to show you.
No, I saw the tape. I saw him. He walked to the weird cycle. He stood there. He talked to them, and he couldn't leave. Like I said, but where is this group? Where is Louis Brown? Where is Mariah Yakula?
Louis Brown is at the United Nations. You already know that. Dennis, President Booker.
People don't stay on the job. They take vacation all the time.
Then you politicize.
Where is the party secretary?
Then you politicize the thing. Let me say thanks to my political leader for standing up. Let me say this, Dennis. You see, I wrote on my page and I said when a regime resorts to juvenile use of the security sector against the opposition political party, its citizens trying to brutalize them and suppress them, obviously there will be a unifying force amongst the population, because nobody wants to be dominated. Nobody wants a tyrannical regime. Nobody wants an authoritarian regime, because we've seen these things in the past. President Booker, with over 40 years experience, lived those very things under Samuel Doe. He lived that thing under Taylor. He lived that thing under Malcolm Ellen Johnson. So he should know when he see them coming. And that's what we saw. So we couldn't hold back but to stand up. But let me make this clear. We are cognizant of the fact that this police and our young people in government right now, and you can take your own observation if you want to, Dennis, are becoming.
Is the CDC at any moral right to be the one telling us that they are standing for justice?
All right. So I wouldn't have a unity party glasses to make the analysis. I would use the analysis of the ordinary citizens. The people who join political parties are citizens of the Republic of Liberia. They are not the party. They don't walk around as a citizen. The way you call them one jacket fit all. These are citizens, and these citizens have the rational thinking. They can read between the lines. They can see oppression. They can see suppression. They can see the actions of government. So when our people are moved to get up and speak against what is going on, it tells you something is wrong. Even Unity partisans are seen to Booker's house. They are on video at Booker's house agitating. They are at the party headquarters agitating because something is wrong with this rescue train. This rescue train has left the track. It's in the woods. It's stuck in the woods. And not even 1 kilometer off the pickup point, they are stuck in the woods. And that's why people are concerned, Dennis. So what I would say to this is that, Dennis, yes, my political leader was out there, and I want to commend him for being there. And I want to thank all of those who stood up from across the aisle. We were cautious not to have had people gathering in huge numbers because the police would have carried on some level of brutality as we've seen them done. So we had to disperse a strategy for people to be in strategic location in pockets. And I think that worked. And I want to say thanks to the strategists who brought those ideas up.
Thank you. You sound like Louis Brown in with tired suffering, but yet the stomach betray him. Jimmy, let me come to it because I think this is the fundamental problem we have, right? I think if you remember in the chat room, I wrote, what is it that we hate in Liberia? What is it that we are against? When it comes to corruption, do we actually hate corruption? When it comes to injustice, when it comes to the broken educational system, when it comes to the non-existing healthcare system, is it that we really don't like it, or we only say it based on who's in power? Because if you look at the likes of Akaros Gray, who was marching on LU campus to beat students, right? If you look at Josh Weah, who when people die on the street, we call them the auditors, and he said, well, they were in the car doing boyfriend and girlfriend. When we saw that young woman die in a fence, and they say, oh, that TB. And these people will come together now because we don't like Unity Party, because of Unity Party shooting themselves in the foot now. So we look at Weah as bringing justice. And so everybody who is on the side of CDC now is like, okay, our savior has come, glory, hallelujah, anyhow.
Then
This is what is destroying us, Jimmy.
Then let me push back a little bit, even though you're the moderator. There were five political parties out there today. It was not just CDC. There were 5 political parties out there.
Are you enraged? Are you enraged? Are you enraged that the people that held state power and continue to pull our country backwards now telling us that they are standing for justice, and you believe them? Jimmy, I want you to come.
There were 5 political parties out there, and it's fine.
Let me just say this, okay? Apart from you people in the diaspora, we have developed an ungodly tolerance for corruption. It is the norm in our society. It is the everyday thing, from the police and the traffic police to the ministries, and anywhere you go, you have to tip. And all that leads to bribery, because that's not a normal thing to do. So yes, we have become numb to certain things that we're supposed to be outraged about. And until we awaken, there has to come a time that we find this thing repulsive. We find corruption, even if it's our closest relative, we find their action something we should condemn. Until we reach that point, now no matter who it is, we're going to be here. There's a lot of corruption that goes on, the Freeport, the oil refinery, and it's okay. It's all right, and it's normal, and we don't do anything about it. So until we disavow ourselves of this unsavory appetite for corruption, until we can come to a point that we will condemn it in every way possible, it will continue. So, what we've seen with the legislature, what we've seen with this back and forth, like, which one of them is going to really serve your purpose? Okay, so what we do need to be careful for, though, is injustice. When you start seeing people killed for no good reason, intimidated, jailed for no justifiable reason, it should be alarming to us, because what comes around goes around. All right, we have to have people at least get a semblance of due process and legal assistance through such process, because if not, we're going to go back to the days of dictatorship, where people got missing, beheaded, and nothing came out of it. So I think we have to be very, and this is why I think political leaders like Alex Cummings and Ability and all those others who went to show solidarity, the former President Weah, that is why they went, because if we allow it to go to that level, they're coming after us too.
Right.
So
and they only going because they are not the one who foot is on our throat presently. But yesterday they were doing it. Mr. Sheriff, should we burn down the house just to kill mosquito, as Bwaka was saying? Because or can we equally condemn these people? I mean, are you telling me Akaros Gray is our friend now because CDC or Unity Party is the one doing it? Is that the kind of like water? I think you saw the school building,
Yeah.
but the educational system is okay depending on who's doing it. Yesterday, George Weah was bad road medicine. Today he's not there now, so all the roads are bad. So we support can we not, condemn these two people when they are doing bad, or we just have to pick one side over the other for political reason?
Right. So the reason why you will have a free conscience is when you stand up for what is right. So
People have been consistent, on the list up till now, but these people they flip like one coin, depending on
I know.
why are you not enraged?
Right.
I don't see that.
So when you so a lot of these people are not consistent from government to government. Depends on where they are at that moment.
And let me give you two examples. Look at our colleagues, our senior comrade, senior political comrades, Anthony Kesseley and Kofi Woods. They're in the president's office, and we don't see what they're doing. They are not shining. Let me say. Go ahead.
Now, look. So, as I said, when you have an ideology that you stand for, that you've subscribed to, which is really basic, right? The right thing must be done. The rule of law and the administration of justice. That has been my mantra all along. So regardless of political parties in power, and you mentioned, our late served days, that was during the administration of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. So the things that I'm saying now, I was saying some of those things back then, and I still say them because time after time, one thing has remained constant. The lives of the Liberian people has not improved. What has changed are the occupants of the executive mansion. And a little bit of what I said earlier, and I just want to say that when I say that these institutions have been used to suppress our people, there's historical evidence. This mansion was built in the 50s, in the mid 50s. And at this time, the mansion, was used by its occupant as a venue to suppress the Liberian people. And when you come up to the 80s, the new occupants of the mansion had a dungeon in the executive mansion where political people, individuals, Liberians were being held prisoners. Think about it. In the United States, if the White House part of the White House is being used as a jail cell, that's what was happening in Liberia. So the American people will be outraged if the if the White House is being used, part of it is being used to incarcerate political opponents. And that's what was going on in Liberia at the time, Dennis. In the 80s, in the 50s that happened, in the 80s that happened. And I don't know if that dungeon is still not there. So when you come to the Capitol building is the venue. What laws are they making for us to better the Liberian people? So they are making laws to create a third lane for themselves.
You made that point earlier, comrade. I want you
to purchase SUVs for themselves. What's that?
Yeah, I said you made that point earlier. What I wanted you to comment on is, do you see Akaros Gray, George Weah, or Tue now has the one standing for justice? Isn't that ironic?
The scary thing about all of this is these are people. They are the government in waiting. So that's a scary thing, knowing that we already know their records. We already know what they've done, that they've done absolutely nothing. We spent 6 years here. We spent years on this forum talking about these guys. You used to say, everything that I would say about Weah was incompetence, right? I used to say that all the time. Mm-hmm. And at the election, I said we needed to turn a new leaf.
Right, and that's
And
why I'm
here's
surprised now they look like your friend now.
And here's the new leaf now. Here's the new leaf.
Mhm.
Here is the new leaf. Here is the 85-year-old Mr. Boakai that I thought would have been the different, like he's an old man, like he's going to spend that 6 years and everything that he promised to do, especially with roads, that he's going to do what he's supposed to do. So instead of focusing on road maintenance, instead of focusing on road and rural development that I care about much, what he's doing, in fact, is letting me know that he's not the person we think he is. He is actually the person that Ellen Johnson thought he is, because Ellen Johnson thought that he is diabolical. That's why she didn't support him. Ellen Johnson thought differently of him. So to everybody out there who's watching, I think Ellen Johnson knew something that we didn't know.
Thank you. Mr. Sia, let's talk about the CBL letter, and these are the things, because CBL wrote and say, hey, nobody should give anybody bond. Before you do that, just let me know. Let me give you a letter, and just detail a very cumbersome process. Mind you, the person at the end of CBL, and we know the CBL story, right? So these are the questionable things, but trust me, tomorrow, if that person is out of government, they will be crying the loudest about how unfair that is. Remember President Boakai taking a loan from IB Bank? Remember the CBL charter, how presidents or the head of the CBL should come in and all that? Now they're doing this. So this is so I want you to comment on the CBL, and then number two, the marching. And do you see that? What, I don't know if you were able to watch Mr. Comey. He felt out of place to me. I don't know if you saw that too, or what did you see?
Dennis, thank you. The CBL letter thing, is just yet another example that when people are in power, they get to see the things that are not proper. But when they are in power, they get blinded by power, and they will do worse than the things they criticized when they were not in power. Then I actually like the question you asked, is Akara Gray our friend now? Is Joshua the one to look up to now when it comes to justice? Joy Howard Taylor should be a voice of reason now? Is she an advocate? Is she the person for us to be looking up to? I really like that question. Do these people, are they actually angry about the conditions of our people? Are they express why in opposition, and when they come to power, where does that anger go? What do they do about those conditions? That's what I want to talk about. And so then I will say this: Joshua cannot be our friend when we are talking about moving our country forward. Akara Gray cannot be our friend. He's our fellow citizen, but he cannot be our friend when we're talking about serving our people and leading our people. Akara Gray cannot be our friend because he's been given an opportunity to do so and he failed. All right. Joshua has been given that opportunity to do so and he failed. He was dancing. He was making music. This man was given a consequential position. The greatest opportunity that maybe just 1% of us Liberian citizens would get. This is why the man got on a silver platter, and then he was dancing music. He was making music. All right. He was traveling extravagantly. He did everything to improve his life and abandon the people. And this is a guy now we want to look up to. But you know who is responsible for this, Daniel? That is the people. The people of Liberia, the citizens of Liberia, the voters in particular, they are the greatest problem of our country. And I said this knowing that one day I might be running for office. So let me say a louder so that those very people will hold me on my words. They are the problem. Look,
I disagree.
How can you, in your right conscience, go and see George Weah, Akara Gray, and the people should be talking for you today?
But don't go further. Listen to Dr. Clarence Pearson. He wants George Weah to talk for him. Mohammed wants Akara Gray to campaign for him, to advocate for him. So
as
why
though
are you
these
the
people
poor people
are the only Liberian citizens We had Tiawan Gonglo who put himself forth. Can you not look up to him? Let Tiawan get on the ballot again, Paul. We are on the ballot. They will go for we are. And look at United Party. United Party, we had United Party on the ballot. The people chose them. What did they do? They didn't do well for the people. And now they give them another opportunity. They are thinking George Weah and CDC will come and do better. When they didn't do better, you kick them out because you knew that they wouldn't do better. And you think that somehow, Samuel Twe is now going to protest for justice? Seriously? Akara Gray is not protesting for justice? Seriously?
Yeah, but Mr. C, I want to.
Let's not do both. Let's not do both sides. What Dennis is trying to do. What Dennis is trying to do is trying to do both sides.
Problem.
I don't want to do that.
Pretending.
Dennis wants to do both sides.
Hold on, let Anthony finish, Jimmy, and then you, Mohammed.
Anthony.
This guy has a beautiful.
I'll be surprised if Dennis isn't coming to
I will conclude today. I will conclude to say Liberian people are their own problem. Here is how. This is the one that will show the sharp contrast that I'm trying to pin here, gentlemen. There are few citizens of ours, ordinary people, who the police, according to their investigation.
I want to add that comment.
I will get to evidence.
And you blame the people in Liberia. Here is somebody in the state educated and saying, hey, what you are saying, you are jealous of Weah.
And
you blame the voters?
Lee Evans does not understand what I'm talking about. If only Evans understood what I'm talking about. Look, Evans, let me tell you something. President, we are myself come from the same town of Southtown. Then is my witness here. You are my witness also. We have 14 episodes of Q&A with Smith Tobey. Most of the episode, President, I was watching. Our town high school, Southtown, had our built by Tobot. I displayed the picture consistently on Q&A with Deputy Presidential Press Secretary Smith Tobey. Just for George, we had to see this high school he has full knowledge of to be renovated. He spent 26 years in power, and that building was not renovated. He let our people down big time. That school still lie in ruin today as we speak. This man should not take me off track. The people are the problem. And these people say Joshua is the one they're going to go to. What do you think Joshua is going to do for you? He's going to do the same thing that he did before. Just as United Party is doing exactly what they did yesterday. These people shouldn't go to them. I was talking about the ordinary citizens that are in jail today. Did the Liberian citizen cry for them? Did they go to protest for them when they were taking them to prison? Of course not. But Franti, who said that they will sit at a hotel and take kickbacks and take bribes before they can approve the budget of line ministries and agency. It is for Kofa. They are crying. It is for Kofa. They are going to a central prison. These are the very people that are being free today. Liberian people are the greatest problem, and the leaders are the least problem. I submit.
Yeah, and that's where I want
to Jimmy, and we have more and more of these pre-trial detainees who would eat crowded in South Beach, and nobody cares until they take either Gloria Muscat or Funate Kufa. Go ahead.
Of course, but there's a reason for this, and this is why I was disagreeing with Anthony. Look at the people, okay? When people don't have critical thinking skills, they easily fall prey for propaganda, lies, and vote buying. Politicians exploit ignorance and make false promises to these kind of people. When they have a lack of understanding of issues or institutions, they don't know how their vote may be for the wrong reasons and expect something good when they voted for the wrong reason in the wrong places. Lastly, in uneducated societies or unexposed societies, voters start to prioritize other things like tribe, charisma, handouts, ideology. Okay? This leads to a politics of identity over ideas and undermines development. So the reason why they're going to these people instead of people they don't know is all about identities. Our whole politics is nothing but a game of identities, not issues and reasoning. And because of that, our politicians have known to exploit it, and they've got it in a lock. You know, the guys like Snow, guys like Tyler, you can't move them. They know how to, they have locked in on the choke, on the necks of our voting populace, because they know that's how they think. So until we start exposing our people to critical thinking and developing their ideas about institutions and what should they be looking for instead of a handout or personality, it's going to continue like this. That is what we got on our hands. And we shouldn't expect anything different, Anthony. This is what's going to happen.
I have my disagreement, Jimmy.
You
were very intellectual there, but we're talking about realities here, Jimmy. We're talking about realities. Jimmy, can you be hungry in your house for 2 weeks and stay in there when you know there's no food there? Are you trying to tell me that Liberian people are not smart enough to see through the politics and how these people use them and continue to vote for them? Do you want me to believe that? These people are hungry.
They vote every day for them.
Anyway, maybe you have a point. I'll leave it.
Yeah, Mohammed and then Clarence.
Yeah, so what I was saying is, and you said that,
and you have 30 seconds each, guys, because I want to bring Lieutenant Johnson in. He's back.
You said that I was asking Akara's Gray to speak. I mean, for me, I've never asked any of these failed politicians to speak for me.
Yeah, I was just thinking it was implied. That's all.
Yeah, I'm sufficient enough to say what I say. But what you're trying for us to do, Dennis, is to do both sidism. And Liberians do that a lot. Well, both sides, you know, like when they talk about the Civil War, they'll say, well, we all were wrong. No, it's untrue. We all didn't participate. Not everybody. And when you talk about this particular issue, it's always going to be, okay, both sides are wrong. Both sides are not. We're not doing both sides. I'm not doing both sides. At least me, I'm not doing both sides. I am holding the regime culpable of everything that's going down right now. Who started this fight? Who started the nonsense with
to your point, Mohammed, I think that's what we always do. When we was in power, everything wrong with the country was we.
But who started this?
Now everything wrong with the country is Bwaka.
Who was defeated? Whose candidate was defeated in the speaker election? Who staged the coup? Who divided money to buy off gutless and spineless people, men and women, who have no spines? Politicians with no spines. In any country, these guys will be in jail. So no, this is not both sides. We've talked about the other side at nauseum. So this time around, I don't care what the Unity Party people say to you, Dennis. You have to push back to them. You have to say, no, this is on your plate now. This is you doing this to our country.
I recognize the bad thing that they are doing. I also cannot get behind Josh Weah and Samuel Tuer to say, power to the people, our saviors.
You're not getting behind. See, the thing is, you are looking at individuals. I don't look at individuals.
No, I'm not. I'm looking at the CDC regime.
I'm not looking at regime. I look at the acts of what's going on. I look at the political culture. I look at what's going on. Not forget about individuals. See, that's the problem that you have in Dennis.
I don't know what you mean, but
forget about the individuals. Look at what's going on.
Sometimes you can't separate the dance from the dancer. Clarence, your 30 seconds.
You know, I'm glad that you were able to clarify just now, Dennis, with Mohammed, that you were speaking just out of the blue when you said that we're looking up to President Weah to speak for us.
No, I said imply. I didn't say out of the blue.
Yeah, no, but it's out of the blue. When you imply it's out of the blue.
Out of the blue, yes.
No,
what
he said implied. No. What he said implied that he's looking up to Weah.
No,
but you can't speak for me, Dennis.
Right. I'm listening to you, and I'm trying to draw conjecture.
When I talk about Weah's incompetence over the last 6 years, I wasn't speaking for Joseph Boakai because
No, but
Joseph
out of
Boakai
the
even had no voice.
Weah is no longer that because Joseph Boakai is doing so poorly.
And so, but at the time that Joseph Boakai had no voice to speak with. So when I spoke in the last 6 years, I was speaking as me, Mohammed Sharif. And I bring a lot of political experience. And what I bring to this is the bona fides to speak in the manner that I do. I have the scars to carry around. I have the consistency, in my pocket as well.
So
And the bona fides to do what I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
So another thing I want to clarify in my 30 seconds is that Dennis, this is an international platform, so I have to say this. Yes, we have conditions of our operations being overcrowded for many years over different regimes, but yet there, Kofa and the other guys that are released today are not the only ones who've been released by government, whether it is Alien regime, George Weah regime, or Boakai regime, releasing people from prison. In fact, Boakai just released a couple of people from prison, I think in April, if I'm not mistaken. I think 100+ persons that were waiting on pre-trial listing. So I want to clarify that. But let me say this. Look, Anthony, I want to push back so hard because let me say this. The miserable performance of President Boakai and his team these few months totally negate all of the propaganda that is spilled against the Boakai, the CDC administration. In fact, if it did anything, it makes us look very embarrassed as opposition. Because
that's the either or mentality. Go ahead.
No. Then give me a chance to learn. You do your own. Let me do my own. Because the point I'm making here is that for us to justify our opposition propaganda that we ran against the CDC government, we should have shown the difference in the audits that we promised to conduct. We should have shown the difference in the professional policing. We should have shown the difference in respecting the rule of law. We should have seen the difference in the fight against corruption. We should have shown the difference in the fight in assets declaration and recovery. We should have seen the fight supposed to be there to show that the guys did the wrong things and what we said they did was wrong. But again, every political institution will have their challenges and their weaknesses. That I must admit, because tomorrow when Mr. Cummings becomes president, somebody will hold me to the scene and say, oh, you guys said everything's supposed to be perfect. Now we don't see it to be perfect. So I admit that there will be challenges. But the challenges of these guys are blatant. I mean, total ineptitude. To the extent that we don't even have the face. Even my man Mohammed does not even have the face to talk about 285 yellow machine anymore. To say no matter how it comes, let us just get it to build roads and do agriculture. He doesn't have the face. Why? Because the accusation does not balance out with what we're supposed to go and find out and justify. Because we now are in power from the opposition, last opposition. So I don't blame President Weah. I don't blame Amos Swear, who they cannot convict on the accounts of corruption. I don't blame Kofa and others who President Boakai is playing double standard and jeopardizing an important investigation for historic building that got burned down and say we shouldn't be calling for the partisans' release. That's politics.
Thank you.
President Trump led insurrection in the United States. I would say when it comes for me, he led insurrection here in the United States, and today he's in power. That's politics.
Thank you. Let me bring in Lieutenant Alfred Johnson, and let me tell you that if you want to join the conversation, the number is on the screen, 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. And Lieutenant Johnson, you are Liberian, so let me throw this political question on you, because we are always, and I remember Dr. Sawyer's oration in 1983, I believe, when he said, I do not believe, I memorized that speech when I was younger and very smart, but, he said, I do not believe that all those things in our past were bad. Neither do I believe that all those things which were bad in our immediate past could be solely attributable to Mr. Turbot. What we have done consistently is anytime somebody is in power or Alfred, that person, we rally against them and we want them to move the next day, right? So all our efforts, so even when witchcrafts and rogues and criminals join in that campaign, we embrace them And Mr. Cummings can relate to that when he brought all kinds of people with him because he wanted to remove we at all costs. So after you dance with the devil, I'm quoting what was attributed to Boaka now. After you dance with the devil now, when the devil comes in power, there is no free thing from the devil. So we have consistently just gone against the one in power. And so whoever is with us is our friend until we get in power too, and the cat start to eat its own baby. So now, and the reference is now our idols now are George Weah, Carlos Gray, Samuel Tue, Nathaniel McGill, and all these people. Alfred, what do you think of? What do you make of it? Can they both not be wrong at the same time? And we all craft. I mean, you can even draft me, but it looks like we have to choose between how to call it, lesser of two evil every time. And we know where that has led us. Alfred, your turn. Oh, sorry, Alfred, now you are in. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. So let me say this, right? You see why today when people can go and pay feeder roles and be celebrating it, you see why somebody can pull security boot rep to EAW Junction and the president go dedicate it, where people can get him on and the people go dedicate it. The problem with our Liberian people is we don't understand that the country, in order for the country to be developed the way we want it to be developed, some of us will not be here to benefit. We're not waiting to make the sacrifice. We're not waiting to see government as the development of Liberia to be a longitudinal issue. It is not quick fix. It is not immediate. If you want to approach Liberia's development and reconstruction and renewal with a quick fix mentality, I can assure you we're in a vicious cycle forever. This is why, because the people want quick fixes, this is why people can put substantial roads down and say they did something for the people. We don't have a plan. And part of the reason is the Liberian people. The leadership in Liberia is a reflection of the people. When I was on the show this morning, I used to be on all these shows. I made it very clear to people that the Councilor Scott case, she was going to walk because of the way LMP handled the case. Then the people in opposition, the UP people, were praising me. The Gifted Lama and Abba Peter case, I was very critical of how the government handled that scene. That little girl that died, Princess, I was critical of how the government handled that scene. The Batin Yiswa, I was critical. All these opposition people were praising me. But now they're in power. I'm critical of things. All of a sudden, I'm not supposed to be speaking on these things. My point here is we have to have an understanding that Liberia is our common denominator. There are certain things that are not meant for compromise when it comes to Liberia. But because we are so focused on celebrating political leaders as opposed to celebrating national development, we get stuck into politics. That's what we have in the job. We are in the thing. The Liberian people are a reflection, their leaders are a reflection of them. You have these failed leaders because it's a problem. One of the things people tell you, I gave you this example, right? And I'm a little biased towards him, Mr. Yinkan. He was my English teacher in high school. He became representative for district number 11. People kept asking, people, when you went for re-election, yeah, he has his ways and things like that. But most of the people there, I talk to them, he not giving him money, he not doing it, why not doing it. So I asked, I say, during Yinkan's time as a representative, you have so many roles in this community were connected. You had Duja started getting funding from government. The Keba Hospital started getting funding from government. The road from Banave Junction all the way that connects today that connects to car that passes through diesel to go to car that can connect you. That Honor Yinkana road was built. The Banave road that Honor Yinkana was built. So what you don't, Yinkan responsibility is not to give you cash. It's to bring development to you. So the fact that this man can do these things and your only reason why you're not voting for him is because he didn't give you money, you say you mean? That tells me that you don't understand the role of your government. So now you elected somebody else who's not doing anything for you. So the people are electing people who will give them rights and things, and then when people get it, people got to pay their money, pay the people money back. So we are a reflection of our leaders. Our leaders are a reflection of us. So when they put Joby out there, they put Joseph Boakai there, what do you expect? When you have a Harry Moruba, a young man with vision. You have him there, but you chose Baka over him. You have Cummings, but you chose Baka over him. Tiawan Gonglonen there. You chose Baka over there. You chose Joey over there. What do you expect? The notion that these are the two popular people that will continue to vote for, it makes no sense.
Thank you.
Our leaders reflect, and until we can approach the election, politics, and government with an understanding that today, whatever we want to do for Liberia development, we will not be able to see. Abraham Lincoln is not here today, but the foundation they laid, that was some more benefiting from today. We will not be here to see what the benefit of this of Liberia, but we have a responsibility to lay the foundation for the future generation to benefit.
Amen. Gabriel, you got to move that no problem, but
I want to choose. I like to hear more, but I meant more. You know, it was.
Oh, his big brother was my senior in Memorial College, Jerome Yeka, and those guys, they get muff. Let me bring in Evans Morris, who was joining us on the line. Evans, you are live. What's your take?
All right, thank you, Mr. Jai, and hello to the panelists. You know, I don't know what kind of suit you today when you just on President Weah. President Weah is not the president. You know, and if you want to juxtapose these two guys, President Weah didn't go after the United Party. You know, when he came into office,
you see trouble.
The Sidicians wanted him to do it. They wanted vengeance. They wanted to be, they wanted him to repay them for going to the compound and killing Sidicians. He didn't do it. Initially, he tried to go after Ellen Johnson Solution. That case was dropped. And for the rest of his presidency, he didn't prosecute any of these United Party guys. The one guy they can say was Barney Samuka, whose case was started under the United Party government. So if you try to say that President Weah was doing the same thing, it's just not true. When it came, to President Bouaga wanting to be a dictator.
I will leave that with Mohammed to respond to that, but go ahead.
Yeah. My point here is you can argue maybe he was incompetent in some areas, he didn't govern as well as we hope. But when it came to respecting the rule of law and not being a despot, it's not the same. We was here, we knew what happened.
Okay.
You know, did President Bouaga kill the people in King George? Can we blame him for those deaths that happened? You know, if you blame people from dying in a fence that has nothing to do with the president, that president.
It's normally what you do after. It's what you do when people, even Taylor, they say, oh, they're not Taylor. But what do you do when people kill people?
I'm just
go
saying,
ahead.
Let's be fair. President Weah is not there. He's not there. President Bouaga is there. Most of you were thinking that this guy was going to be the savior. He was the
Let's leave that one, Evans.
And now he's not doing anything. But this whole case, like I said, we're not going to preempt the case. I think the thing that most of us are shocked over, and we shouldn't be, is the fact that they coerced these guys to go in there for questioning and then arrested them, like the detective or the former detective said, arrested them to a time when it was too late to get bailed and wanted them to stay in jail. And I have an inkling that this is a Kofas, not Kofas, but Kondom. He's angry, he's a vindictive, bitter kind of person. He wanted to see Kofa in jail for contesting against him because he think with the president behind him, nobody should fight him for any position.
Thank you.
But look, tomorrow,
one thing, Elvis.
Tomorrow come, and if the new government starts doing this, you shouldn't complain. Because I don't even think it'll be President Weah. I think it might be Cummings. I think the CDC will probably coalesce with the ANC, and Cummings might be at the head of the ticket. That's the way I'm seeing it.
But Elvis, one thing though, according to some reports I've gotten, that it's his lawyers that assumed they were going to be released on their own reconnaissance and did not file in time for the bail. That is the report I got.
Thank you. Leave everyone with a weird thing. Anthony Freeman, you're live. Go ahead, sir.
Hello?
Hello, you are live. Go ahead.
Okay, well, this is Wanda Faber and calling from Minnesota.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I think you raised a very important point. And if I see it, I think it's a way of some of the opposition politicians not being either principle-minded or not being strategic. So let's start from the principle-minded. I want to see George Weah as a common thief. A common thief. The only difference between George Weah and those boys jacking people purse down the street is that George Weah will sit in his office and sign, but the amount of money that George Weah stole from Liberia, if you were to bring it back to Liberia, Liberia will be 50% developed. George Weah is a common thief. So for people to have principle and go say they want to collaborate with George Weah, to do what? I don't see it. So that's one. If you have any semblance of principle in you, you will not collaborate with George Weah for any reason whatsoever, except to encourage him to submit to the judicial process so that all the money he stole and all the crimes that he instigated, he can face justice for it.
Attorney Freeman, what does collaborate with George Weah mean? Explain that.
Yes, like for example, I can tell George Weah, look, since you directed a lot of criminal activities in Liberia, you need to submit yourself for investigation. Or say you collab with the NSA and stole a whole bunch of money, hundreds of millions of dollars, you need to submit yourself to investigation. That's the kind of collaboration I can collaborate with George Weah. But I can collaborate with George Weah to advocate for justice or to talk about development in Liberia or anything like that.
How do you submit yourself? There's no chance. How do you submit yourself? There's no chance.
Christian country, or they have made George Weah into some kind of god. So they go about worshiping him and all of that, and they can continue to worship. They have been worshiping him for the past 20 years. And they have
just 1 second.
Hold on.
The next thing I want to say, just one more.
Yeah.
One second. Just add this to your answer. How do you submit?
Clarence, when is there to talk?
Clarence, hold on, you were coming.
Clarence,
I know that we are business, really.
It's a common thief. It's not one of them saying it.
How do you submit yourself without a charge?
That lawyer talking.
If you're in a political system, right, and you want to be strategic, Mr. Cummings will have learned his lesson from collaborating with the UP. Okay? It's like the way we have in Liberia, you have the US dollar parallel with the Liberian dollars. That interaction between a strong and a weak currency always affects the weaker currency.
Anthony Freeman, how do you submit yourself without a charge?
It will subsume you. So
How do you submit yourself without a charge?
Because if he wants to make himself relevant, you can't go collaborating with George Weah. You have to find other people of like minds to collaborate because it's a matter of being strategic. Because George Weah will never, that man is greedy.
Is George Weah convicted of any crime?
So
Is George Weah convicted of any crime?
so for me,
Dr. Pearson, hold on, please.
Lack of being principle-minded.
Thank you.
Look, Clarence.
Hold on, Freeman, just conclude. We have more callers. Conclude.
Stole more than 100, almost 200 million from Liberia. Okay.
Allegation. Let's move on. Allegation.
That's the point. So the lack of principle and a lack of strategy made them to collaborate with someone like George Weah. But
Thank you. Thank you. Let me bring in the UP partisan, Flomo Livingston.
Hello?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. No, the conversation, I just want to debunk the lies from Dr. Pearson and Mohammed Sharif. Look, Mr. Comey don't have no fresh ideas. If he has fresh ideas, you're going to go back and collaborate with George Weah. Yesterday, protesting of retired suffering during George Weah regime, called George Weah corrupt and all that stuff, and you go back and collaborate with them. Then you want us to trust you that you're a good leader. Mr. Comey believes in elite people. There's people, the young poor Liberians that they used to burn the Capitol building. Where are they today? And they are in prison. Did they see any of them? Mr. Comey then going to visit them or, protesting for them? No. But if 4 or 5 lawmakers took any see that they went to the prison to protest for them, and the post bomb for those guys, and the other guys stay in prison. I always tell the people, stop being used by those greedy politicians. They don't even care for you.
Thank you.
And then they're talking about President Bogart regime is doing far more better than George Weah says yes. When it comes to rules and law, you see the people, nobody is maybe you have free speech. Those guys committed a crime, and for me, if I was a judge, I wouldn't even accept that I'm born because I stay in jail until
Jesus Christ.
that case be over. This guy, bunch of guys can go destroy Capitol building because of power greed. They see men are convicted will cry.
Thank you, Flomo.
They shouldn't have rights. So they shouldn't have rights.
Thank you. They say in the code of the cats, the mouse stand no chance. Mr. Mela McTure, Joe McTule.
Yeah, Jeremy, how you doing, man? How's everybody doing on our platform?
I am ecstatic.
Yeah. Look, I'm calling. I've always tried to be historical, and I don't sugarcoat anything. You guys, you Liberians, in totality, you want indigenous leaderships.
Oh God!
You're not Liberian. You say you Liberian. You're not Liberian.
What are you clamoring for?
No.
You said Liberians were the problem in the country. So you kill all of them, and then you got your own indigenous.
Joe Mature, stop that, man. That is below. That is below.
Why are you clamoring today?
Yeah.
Why? You see, no. Mr. Dennis, we cannot bury history. We gotta be
but the history you're starting there is wrong history.
You know why I brought it on? I brought it on because after they reference to the school that taught about built in Southtown. You see, look, we make a mistake, a tremendous mistake that we never recover from. You see, so that's what I gotta say. I want to speak my mind because I'm so hyped that we did so many bad to ourselves.
No.
So we're learning a lesson. We're learning a lesson the hard way.
Yeah, and that's why when I saw Pearl Brown Bull speaking in a very irresponsible way, I was so enraged. Because we like to reduce this Liberian thing to Congo country. What is that? Oh, you all wanted indigenous people. No, hold on 1 minute. Who the people that got together and staged the 1980 coup? Was it indigenous people?
The indigenous people benefited from it because they didn't want to speak.
Oh, you said benefited? Who became president? Who became president after all this?
You cannot advance the argument. The argument is all
about. Dennis, I think you should give the correct chance. Even if
you should give him a chance. You give other people a chance. You don't want to give him a chance.
Policies continue to doom our country.
But Dennis, the man has an opinion.
That's a man opinion. You got to allow him, and you can counter that after he's done. You hijacking him. It's not fair.
No. We can repudiate people who are sowing these seeds of.
And then when he's done, you can do that. When he's done, you can register your disagreement.
No. I have the right, Mr. Sia. This is why I'm in charge of this.
But Dennis, I have said the same thing. You didn't repudiate me.
Who rebuke him?
Look at this kind of thing.
Dennis has all right to rebuke that nonsense.
This kind of thinking. We can reduce our country to this thing, right? We can do this. When Mr. Bwaka said that, does that represent Liberian people?
But he's a leader when you say it.
Oh, man. When Pearl Brown came up now and called Liberian people heathens, using the same code words that were used to subjugate other people. No, give me a break. No. Did you come out and say, hey, this is the Liberian people are saying Congo people better?
I didn't have a platform to rebuke her, but what I'm saying
but we need to stop this. That's an individual. Those statements were lunatic. And so I can't blame the Liberian people for that. That's her individual opinion.
I keep on that generation. So I continue to retrospect on it. Ali Twinto Administration University of Liberia up to scanner. The AM Documentic College were all up to scanner. But look at the country today.
But it is not about indigenous or Concord. That's why the country is like this. That's what I want you to disabuse your mind of.
We'll continue to talk about it because we try to bury history.
All right.
Dennis, you are being so unfair to the brother. You are being so unfair to the brother.
No, I'm not unfair. I am
unfair to this brother.
Because these things have.
How is he being unfair to the man? How is he being unfair to him?
Give the man time to
allowing him to speak.
No,
right. You're not giving the man time to speak.
But the man cannot monopolize the discussion.
No, the man has the right to speak.
The man is making multiple claims that have to be countered in real time.
Yeah, but after
he can do that after the man is done.
No,
but why if the man talks for 5 minutes, you can't put all the points down in 5 minutes. You got to check it as it goes.
He was on the line for a minute. He has not
been on the line for a minute. I mean, I've done the line for at least 4 minutes now.
I like to hear what he was saying. That's why.
But Mr. Sharif, I cannot tolerate these kind of things on this platform because we can't do that. We cannot continue to say, hey, the country people, they did this, the Congo people, they did. What this kind of thinking is coming from? Oh, Tower build this and do build this. When they were staging the coup, I was all the way in not even the city of Dodwoke. I was in the
But
village.
Dennis, I
And
have
you
said
hold
the
me
same thing. You
responsible
never
today?
repeated it. You never repeated it me. I've said the same things.
Yeah, well,
Mr.
he's
Mr.
aware
Mr.
now
Salif,
that this thing is what is probably one of our key problems, that
What
we
is the
can't
key
come
problem
together,
in
we
here?
can't
What's the key
synthesize,
problem? This
we
is a
can't
historical fact.
synthesize our
The
efforts
thing is,
What
and
is
make
the
it
key
no,
into
problem?
a
we
policy.
gotta move
here's the
forward.
thing.
It's a historical
When
fact.
was speaking,
It's a
We gotta
fact.
move forward. We can have the Congo country
There were
debate.
people
Yeah,
dancing in the street that morning. It's a
Dennis,
historical
Dennis,
fact.
I didn't like the way you treated the brother. When Konyene was speaking and
You
Dr.
give him
Piercy
all
was
the time in the
interrupting
world.
him, you continue to tell Dr.
Yeah,
Piercy,
because
allow the man
Continue
to
speaking
finish.
his opinion. This man is continuing to spew a historical fallacy that continue to destroy our country. So I'm not going to allow it.
No,
That is not fair.
don't do
That
that.
is
Yeah,
not
I'm not
fair.
going to allow it.
By
That is
saying
very
that it
fair.
does not destroy Liberia, by saying
Right.
that it does not destroy Liberia,
But
you
this
can
is
correct him
false.
when he's
This
done. But
is
you
negative.
cannot.
This is destructive, and we cannot continue to condone this. This is a
I'm not saying you should
historical
condone
fallacy.
it. I say you should give the man a speaking chance and you can correct him.
He
Because to
did
tell you
that.
the facts, all
He
that the
did
man
that.
said, I didn't get anything because you kept interrupting the man throughout, and that is not
It's not
fair.
me who didn't get it. Other people got it, and we have to move on because I'm supposed to interrupt him. And that's why even in this country, when they say anti-Semitism, they don't allow it to even simmer through. And so we have to adapt the same posture for Liberia. How long are we going to continue on this country Congo nonsense and continue to say, oh, the country people did this, the Congo people did this? But let's move forward. The time is fast spent. I said initially that we're not going to talk about and that's what I want to conclude with, and I want to get your 30-second response, that we're not going to talk about the Mammy Doe and George Weah issue. First of all, our country has so many problems that we want to reduce things and make and prioritize whether George Weah shake hand to Mammy Doe or not, or which is, in my view, is so irrelevant. Our country has so many problems that we need to contend with instead of trivializing our national discourse always. Okay, he gave me cow and he rejected the cow. It's not going to change most of the problem we face with. And that's why I thought we cannot discuss this. It's trivial, it's irrelevant, it doesn't add anything or subtract anything. If we want to mainstream our idea of shaking hands, when we go to our political party, let's shake hands. But this should not dominate the headlines. I want to get your take, and then your closing. Mr. C, let me start with you.
Dennis, thank you. I will go first, and I agree with you 100%. And this is the thing I've been saying all along. Do you know that today I decided not to follow any of this I consider nonsense that went on today? I mean, people going to the Morura Central Prison to receive Funanti and others, and now they go into Supreme Court, and Weah is coming out, and the media is clamoring for it. Our reporters say there's a lot of things that's going to be happening today. I wanted the whole country and the citizens to just stay home. I wanted the entire media to not even cover these guys. This is not worth our time. All right, look, I'm just from Liberia. I'm in Liberia now every year 3 times. I see the conditions of our people. Our leaders are not paying attention to important things in Liberia today. And it disturbs my conscience that our leaders are not paying attention to the things they need to pay attention to change the conditions in our country. All right. And the people are themselves following these things. When George Weah had a press conference for 7 hours. What sort of foolishness is that? What did he accomplish? I mean, think about this. Has George Weah made that his business to sit down in his office to hear from experts what we can do to move our country forward for 7 hours? Can George Weah do that? He would never entertain any such discussion. He would never do that. George Weah would never even entertain a 7-hour discussion in his political party, what they need to do as a political institution to change things in his party. He would never entertain that. But because his political interest is on the line and it benefits his bottom line, he is having a discussion for 7 hours. And now everybody wants to listen to that nonsense. This is a man that sat down out of the country for 40 days to watch his son playing football. This is the kind of man we're talking about here. So for me, Dennis, this is complete nonsense.
Thank you. Let me squeeze in one more caller, and then you can get it. Caller, your name and where you call from, please. Go ahead, caller.
I'm assuming you're referring to me. My name is Alfonso Nina.
Go ahead, Alfonso.
Yeah. Hi, brothers. Hi, Mr. Sharif.
Hey, what's up, Alfonso?
So I just called to kind of make one point, which has to do with what President Bruce said and what that caller said. And Mr. Jao, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for that. When people make these kind of uninformed and incendiary statements, we shouldn't allow them to take hold and to simmer. We should correct and punctuate them right there and then, because that makes no sense. When John McCain stood up, when that woman was saying at his campaign speech that Mr. Obama was not a citizen, he stopped her. And he celebrated for stopping her. So what's wrong with you stopping somebody who's making a similar incendiary and false statement? So I appreciate that you took that position. And people who disagree with you need to reconsider. We cannot allow these type of falsehoods, uninformed statements to take hold and to fester. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Clarence, you are on the floor. Go ahead. And you know, there's another person, that country, I say you have the habit of cutting people off mid-sentence, and that's rude. Just saying. That country, that's not rude. You've been very rude. Go ahead.
You know, Dennis, when it comes to the Doe family,
she's up to.
Yeah, when it comes to the Doe family, I think for me it's a complex conversation, because the way a lot of people see it as a simple thing, for me it's not a simple thing, right? Anything I hear the Doe family name, I think about my father that I lost in the civil crisis and my brother. All right, today I don't even know where they were buried, right? So when I hear the name Doe, the first thing that comes to my mind is the crimes associated with Samuel Doe. I think when I saw the back and forth with Mommy and President Weah with the issue of Carl, I'm taking it back.
It was shaking hands and then Carl.
Yeah, I'm taking it back for a couple of reasons. One, since her father's death, she was just trying to make an appearance in the country. All right. Some would say right after the death of Prince Johnson, you know, the whole idea about Doe and anyone related to him seemed to be coming forward. So I find it very baffling that she will allow such, you know, anyone going tete-a-tete or head-to-head with President George Weah, it means you're looking for some form of public attention because he's a popular figure. And if you're aware that he's a popular figure, you want to be very cautious how you rub shoulders with him, especially going to the press, having a whole media. I think when the man walked into her fence and she had serious dissatisfaction with the man, and the man went in her house from the beginning of the video, she should have told him then and there, I don't need your presence here behind closed doors. I will frankly say to you, Mr. President, can you please go home? We'll talk this matter another time. But she allowed the man to sit. She allowed the man to have a conversation with her. She was laughing. She was interacting. The man handed her a purse. She received it. She had kings, member of her family, who came and knelt down to the man and said, in our culture, you are our first son. You will need 2 cows. So the man responded to her family or her culture or her elders. They even went as far as naming him. So the reason I'm saying this, and I'm taking my time, usually I'm emotional.
And you don't have much time left.
Yeah, and I'm taking my time because I want to say this, right? If anyone should show a level of mercy and tolerance and forgiveness, it should be the Doe's family. Because what Mommy should project out there trying to make a re-entry into the Liberian space is to show that she's remorseful. And I'm not saying transfer the aggression of the parents to the child.
But what you saying?
No, Dennis, the history is there. We are all logical people. There are people out there who are hurting by her family. They need to hear her say, my people, I come back to make my entrance into Liberia. I want to tell Liberian people, sorry for what my family did to any Liberian. I may not be the one, but I want to say sorry because I know my family hurt people. But now her entry to the country is one of showing some form of animosity towards someone who she said she got beef with and can forgive them. So I understand the will aspect. I understand the passion in grief and all the kind of thing because I just lost my mother almost 2 years ago. I understand the trauma in all of those things. But someone should advise her that that's not a good public entry. Looking at our family history, because there are a lot of us hurting out here, and we don't want to have the semblance that she's not forgiving. That's what I'm trying to say.
Thank you. That was your final statement. Let me go to Alfred. Alfred, I wanted your comment on what we should discuss. I mean, whether you agree with me that I found out that this Mommy Doe and George Weah thing, I don't even want to talk about it. And
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that whole situation is such that I just joke with it. I don't think I want to take it seriously because the attention that it garner, you shouldn't have garnered that level of attention. I personally wouldn't, if I have a personal beef with somebody, I wouldn't take it up at my mother's funeral because I have elders there. Even if the person, from what I gather, the elders are the one that requested the cow. I wouldn't put myself front and center of my parents' funeral. But there is a larger point here. We've seen it in the Liberian society. You see it from Prince Johnson. You see it from all these different guys. Instead of these people going and putting themselves somewhere and just relaxing until God can call them home, everybody who traumatized the Liberian people still want to come and be at the forefront of politics and relevance in our country. And that is very concerning. Again, she has the right to do what she wants to do. The sins of the father is not going to be passed on to the children. But we also have to understand we're not going to sit here and not recognize the pain that everybody caused each other. And we have to be able to give each other grace. We have to give each other grace. We cannot act like our people did not inflict pain on other people. We have to be able to give people's grace and to make this whole thing about her as opposed to making it about giving her man a befitting burial and recognizing custom and tradition is just unfortunate. But again, that's a family dynamic situation. I don't know what's going on between them and Joia. It is what it is.
Thank you. Jimmy, you're closing.
Yeah. It was a bit alarming for them to have made it as public as it is.
Because we focus on less important stuff. Go ahead.
I do realize that there were Nancy Doden did make an appeal several times, and for what was due her in
maybe your 401k ran out. I mean, it's been long since 1990. Maybe your pension money finished.
Yeah, but I would comfort her to know that there are many people like her who have not received their pension money from, and the people serve for many years. There are plenty of people like that in her shoe. It is true though that her spirit of forgiveness, you would expect that. I think there's some people who really think who still believe Doe is a hero. And there's some people on the side who felt that they murdered their family. This is the dynamic we're living with. That's why Liberia is in such turmoil. We all twisted up. Some people hail murderers as heroes. The same thing with situation was with Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson is a hero to many people, and to some people he killed their family. That is the dynamic we're playing with, and I think we'd have to address it because I think it has unintended consequences of how people interact with one another, and sometimes it just needs somebody to go back and explain to them that these things happen in the evolution of a country, and we can grow from it. When bad things happen, it's a lesson. It's even when you fail, that's a lesson for you to do better next time.
Jimmy, while you continue, we were talking about this school instead of what are mommy doing. We are shake hands. I hope we're talking about the deplorable condition that the corruption, the selfishness, and the wickedness in Monrovia has put our children and grandchildren through. See where the kids are sitting to take lessons just Friday. And we are talking about whether we are shake hand or not shake hand, whether they give cow or not give cow. What is that going to change when it comes to the Zoko situation? Go ahead, Jimmy, and your thoughts. But I want to share the school.
Tell the cow add the money to the 5,000 and pay the school.
But exactly. So
I tell you the truth, I would like to see schools being built any day than somebody memorializing anybody. I want to be honest with you. But when you look at it, we got a mausoleum that was built the other day by somebody who couldn't hardly afford a room. There's stuff that go on in our place there, my man, is mind-boggling. But and I think we need to address it. There's the psychology. We need to address it before we will be better.
Thank you. Mohammed, I want to get your closing. Why we show the school. My father sister is my. There's the lesson. Is this in any curriculum? Who's
Yeah.
Man. And we, our kids, these children are victims. My son passed to 8th grade. He got all A's. Is he any smarter than kids in that classroom sitting on that damn thing? No. But the opportunities.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mohammed. I'm enraged.
Yeah.
I have no more patience for my country.
I'm enraged as well. And Dennis, let me deviate a little bit to let you know that you are one of the best hosts in this business. We call you the best host since the fall of the Mali Empire for a reason. So regardless of what Degonti is saying out here, I don't have time to push back, but I would have. But it's just on call for, some of the things that these people do. If that's what you believe, come on the show and let's talk about these things.
Yeah.
So okay, let me go to the question. Let me go to the question. So no, I don't want to discuss Degonti's qualms with the president. It's a family issue. It's her right to feel however way she wants to feel, however way she wants to mourn her mom. It's her right. The way I mourn my mom, no one had the right to tell me how to mourn my mom or my dad for that matter. So that's not significant in the greater scheme of things to me.
Thank you, gentlemen. And for the time, I want to thank our viewers. We 10 o'clock and then we're going to stop the show right here. But I want to appreciate you guys for coming. Continue to bring the passion you bring. And they don't call me the well-rounded for nothing. Well, gentlemen, thank you. That was it. On that note, whether you think that we are needed to shake hands or not, or whether Funati and the rest have been, this is completely political, whatever it is, we are all Liberians. What we want to see at the end of this is transparency, fairness, and that the perpetrators of these heinous crimes are brought to book. On that note, we say we are all Liberians, y'all. Have a good night and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.